Hello friends, let us discuss another topic from UPSC essay question paper 2020. So let us discuss, there can be no social justice without economic prosperity, but economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. So what does it mean? In a very simple layman language, if I say, it means that respect and dignity are very important, are far more important than wealth and income. Now let's break down this essay topic in two parts. The first part is there can be no social justice without economic prosperity. So if you want to achieve social justice in society, if you want to achieve equality in society, then distribution of wealth and income opportunities, livelihood opportunities, it's very important that everyone should have access to livelihood opportunities and access to earn income and all those things. So economic prosperity is very important if you want to achieve social justice in society. But if you achieve only economic prosperity, if you have distributed wealth, if people are becoming rich, but if social justice has still not been there, then this sort of distribution of wealth, this sort of economic prosperity would be meaningless. So what does it mean? So see, if you refer to any definition of social justice, or either in dictionary or even in any document, official document of United Nations, you will come across some reference to economy when they talk about social justice. So economic prosperity is very important aspect of social justice, but this essay wants us to explore what we think about social justice, those things which are not necessarily related to wealth. So what are the other dimensions of social justice which we can think about? That is what this essay wants us to think and wants us to talk. So what are those things? Well, social justice is a very broad term and a lot of things can come in it, but to begin with, we can say social justice means, first, you should have the capacity to take decisions for yourself. That is, you should be allowed to take decisions for yourself. Second, it means you should have the capacity to implement those decisions. That is, you should be free to take choices for yourself. And third, it means you should have the capacity to speak for yourself. And more importantly, make yourself visible and heard to those who are at the top of our decision-making process. That is, those in the government, that is the state, you should be able to make them listen to yourself. That is, some sort of political representation you should have. So all these things, from here we can make a beginning to our understanding of social justice. Besides this, social justice means a lot of other things, such as your access to healthcare, access to housing and so on, which we will discuss during the course of our essay. So let's begin. And let's begin with a story. Let's begin with our essay with a story. And our story, we will talk about a young girl. Let us give her a name which is very common in Indian households, especially Indian middle class households. And let us give her an imaginary name like Neha. Now Neha is a 23-year-old girl. She is a graduate and she is also having a job. Her parents got her married to a groom of their choice, who was almost a stranger to Neha just a day before marriage. Neha and her parents had seen beautiful, vivid dreams for her life after marriage. But unfortunately, the night of the marriage turned out into a nightmare, because her new husband, who was just a stranger till a day before, forced himself on her. Neha was not mentally prepared. She had not provided consent. Still, the marriage was forcefully consummated. Forceful consummation of marriage took place. Neha felt devastated, humiliated at the hands of her husband. Now, where does she go? If she goes and knocks at the doors of her parents might return her like a bounced check, calling her pariah dhan. If she goes to a police station to lodge a complaint, the police officer over there would ask, under which section or law should I lodge your complaint? Because as of now, there is no law under which marital rape has been criminalized. Marital rape is not yet criminalized in India. If thousands of girls like Neha try to reach to the parliament of our country and try to raise a request there that please bring a legislation to criminalize marital rape, then such requests are also turned down, as you have seen in the past, stating that marital rape, criminalization of marital rape would destabilize the family system, or it would hurt the sacrosanct nature of marriage. So in this case we see Neha cannot stop her husband from invading her mind, body without her consent. And she feels humiliated and devastated, but she can't do anything. And even though she has job, even though she has resources to wealth, now tell me, her access to her own wealth, her own money, her access to the finances of her parents, or in fact the access to finances of her husband as well, can all this economic prosperity bring social justice for girls like Neha? It is because the social structure and the belief system on which the society is founded, it continues to push girls like Neha to the same place from where they are trying to escape. And as long as that continues to take place, we will see that economic prosperity alone will not bring social justice to girls like her who are victim of marital rape. So the point here is that it is possible that someone may be economically prosperous, but still he or she may continue to face social injustice. Now let us take up another example. After independence, Indian government has brought up a number of legislations and policy measures for economic empowerment of Dalits. One of them, the foremost among them, the reservation in jobs and education. Now Dalits have been provided with reservation and with jobs opportunities, as a result of which many of them have seen upward mobility in society, at least economically. But does that translate to social empowerment also? Because the society still does not provides them the respect and dignity which they deserve. And as we see in news reports on a regular basis, that how Dalit boys are being killed or beaten to death just for sporting a mustache or wearing a horse, because these actions are seen by the dominant upper castes as infringement on the status symbols reserved for them. And similarly, we also hear about news, we've seen news how Dalit girls, they were raped and burned alive. So these caste-based atrocities, they show that economic prosperity alone will not bring social justice. It is quite possible that the state may have provided economic prosperity, but social justice is still far lagging behind. And this also takes place because of the belief system in the society. And now you being the youth, let me ask this question to you, especially to those among the upper castes, boys and girls, that when in the days to come, in the years to come, when you seek a marriage alliance, would you be happy to seek a marriage alliance with a person from the lowest sections of caste hierarchy, even if he or she meets all your requirements of finances, financial security, job security, dresses, lifestyle, habits, emotional compatibility, all such things which you want? Would you be happy to seek a marriage alliance? Possibly not, because statistically speaking, intercaste marriages between the extreme ends of caste hierarchy are still not taking place in any significant numbers. So again, we see that how social injustice or social inequality because of entrenched prejudices, discrimination and hierarchical mindset in society continues to take place, and economic prosperity alone is not able to address that. Now let's move our gaze towards the Western countries. In West, they had a history of racism whose shadow looms over them even in the present. Last year we saw the incident of the death of a black man called George Floyd. Now George Floyd was pushed to the ground. He was handcuffed. He was kneeled down by a state-appointed police officer. And he died out of suffocation there. And his last words were, "Let me breathe." Now, can you provide social justice to them by putting money in their pockets? So far, in the examples which you have taken, we're mostly talking about people from middle class background or not so rich. But social injustice is something which could be faced by even economically very rich and affluent people. In fact, the celebrities, the Bollywood superstars, we have heard of incidents when they went to United States and in their airports, in the name of frisking and security checking, they were stripped and they faced a lot of humiliation because they belong to a particular religion. Now such prejudiced mindset against members of a particular religion, or if we talk about Islamophobia, is present in many parts of the world. Let's come back to India. Your chances of getting a home in India, finding a home either for purchase or for renting, your chances of finding a home takes a plunge if you belong to a particular caste or religion. That can happen. So in these cases, you could be having a lot of wealth, but you still won't be able to find a house. You would still be forced to live in ghettos just because you belong to a particular caste or religion. So what sort of social justice are we talking about? Can social justice be met only by providing money to people, by providing them livelihood and income sources? Definitely not. Now, one more example here we can talk of. And that example shows the flaws at the level of the state policies. Now tribals, we're talking about tribals. Now tribals are not happy with the developmental approach of the state. And it shows the state thinks that we are going for development, we are giving them jobs, we are giving them compensation. But the tribals are not happy with that. And that is being shown in the resistance which they are putting up. That could be a controversial thing, but at least it shows that they are not happy with the kind of development which the state is enforcing on them. Because you go and you provide them compensation, but you take away those hills, those rivers, those forests, which the tribals might have considered like their ancestral gods, to which they had an emotional connect, which was a source of livelihood for them, and not just a source of livelihood, it was a source of identity for them. Now you can't snatch away all these things and just provide some compensation, no matter how much compensation that may be, but you cannot say that you have done social justice to them. Now as per a report of Ministry of Tribal Affairs in 2004, tribal constitutes only 8% of our population, but out of those who have been displaced because of developmental projects, tribal constitutes 55% of them. So this speaks volume about the social injustice which they are facing. Now similarly, let us talk about one more community. And most of the communities so far discussed, they faced discrimination because of their birth. in a particular group. But let us talk about some other who are facing discrimination not because of their birth, but because of what happened after that. We're talking about HIV/AIDS people, HIV positive people. Now, HIV positive people, we have seen in news many a times they face discrimination and they are denied healthcare facilities. Even educated doctors in nursing homes, they turn down their request. They don't attend to them, and we have heard in news how pregnant women who are suffering from HIV positive, they had no option but to die. They were forced to die. And you also think about it. If an HIV positive person comes to ask for a rented accommodation in your house, in case if you have put up an advertisement for that, would you be happy to rent your home to a person who is suffering from HIV positive? Many people might again discriminate. And in these days we have seen that how HIV positive people, they are denied housing facilities, or most importantly they are denied healthcare facilities, even though they may be having a lot of money. So economic resources or wealth is not a guarantee that it will provide you respect and dignity in society. It is not a guarantee that it will make your voice visible to those in the highest echelons of power, as we saw in the marital rape case. And similarly, it is not guaranteed that people will treat you in a fair manner. So social justice is a very broad term, and economic prosperity is just one aspect of it. And now we turn our attention to the first statement, that there can be no social justice without economic prosperity. So taking clues from it, we can say that yes, economic prosperity is important. It is not that economic prosperity is meaningless. So if you just talk about giving respect and dignity, if you just talk about this kind of social justice, but you do not provide any concrete sources of livelihood or income, then such social justice will also be hollow. It will also be meaningless. This is what the essay's first statement states. And in fact, the worst thing happens when a person has neither economic prosperity and nor other aspects of social justice. And in that case, the group faces double whammy of oppression. And here is a group which we can refer to, and that is the group of transgenders. Because when transgenders come in front of you, you move your face in another direction. You hide your faces. You laugh at them. You do not provide them job opportunities. If a transgender comes asking and suggesting himself for the job of providing tuition to your child, most probably you would reject because of some phobia. So you are not ready to give them jobs, and you laugh at them. You do not give them respect. So what options do they have? Then they are forced to beg, clap their hands and beg at traffic lights. So the next time you see a transgender clapping and begging in traffic lights or in railway compartments, it's not a failure on their part, it's a failure on the part of the society to consider them as equals. So in this way, now that is from the example of transgender, we want to show that economic prosperity or access to livelihood is also very important. It is the first step towards social justice. But yes, as you have seen in the rest of the examples so far, it is not sufficient. Economic prosperity is the first step towards social justice, but it is definitely not sufficient. It is not the end of the story. It is important, it is necessary, but not sufficient for social justice. This is what the essay wants us to suggest. So with these examples, we have shown that how social justice, how economic prosperity without social justice would be meaningless. And if you want to add some more dimensions here, you can add here. You can if you want, you can also talk about some extra dimensions, such as in the name of social justice, political opportunist people, they start selling their propaganda. In the name of social justice, the state sometimes tries to strengthen its foothold in economy and other aspects of social life. So that should also not happen. We should be careful about this usage of this term, because it is very sensitive and it is very important, and we should not allow it to be misused by political opportunists or by any other people. We should be genuinely concerned about it. Next is, now we can, towards the end, we would be moving towards a solution. And what is the solution? Now you can give up ideas if you have, and we would discuss some ideas only in brief because we are left with very less space to write, very less word limit. We would slowly be approaching towards the word limit. So we can think of it that the biggest actor in social justice sphere is the state, but state also has its limitation, and ultimately the change has to come from the society itself, from individuals like us, and behavioral changes is required. Behavioral changes are required, and attitudinal changes are required. Then you can talk about some ethics here also, that we need to remember that we are all the children of the same God. We may be having different caste or religion or race or skin color or gender or different nomenclatures assigned to us, but at the end of the day we are all the children of the same God, and we should all respect each other. We should all treat each other in a fair manner, without prejudice and discrimination. So in these lines you can end, and now towards the end you can use some quotation which talks about hope of a depressed class, or some other similar statement of hope for an equal society. Like you can end with the beautiful lines of Rabindranath Tagore from his poem Gitanjali, where he says that where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, into that heaven of freedom let my father, my country awake. So you can take inspiration from such lines, or you can talk about a very famous line which is very much which is very much discussed whenever social justice issues are discussed, and that is the poet Langston Hughes, who was a black American poet. His poem I Too Sing, and that was a poem which I had discussed in June 2020. And the crux of the poem was that a black American person who faces a lot of social injustice, a lot of humiliation, he says that one day will come when he will also be treated in a fair manner, and people will accept him as part of the family. They will acknowledge him, and he would also be considered as a representative of the nation. So on these lines you can end the poem, and I think this was beneficial to you. So we can end it here. And friends, one thing which I can say here is that this year has around 7 or 8, 9 essays or discussions which I had last year. From that, 3 or 4 essays came in UPSC 2020 essay question paper. Topic number 4, which was of simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, of section A. This was directly lifted from one of the topics of essay which I had discussed on 23rd November 2020, that is around 50 days before the mains. And topic number 3 of section A, that is ships do not sink because of water around them. It was also very much similar to a topic which I had discussed on 1st December, that is around 38 days before the mains. The topic was of experience is not what happens to you, experience is what you do with what happens to you. And section B, essay number 3, patriarchy is the least noticed yet the most significant structure of social inequality. The essay paper took place on 8th January, and on 5th January, just 3 days before the mains, I had discussed with you a video in which I had shown 10 my favorite quotations related to patriarchy. So there has been a huge convergence, and I hope this would have been beneficial to the students who had seen those videos. And I suggest to you all also that please be serious and enthusiastic about all the videos which I post on this channel with respect to essays. So you can also take benefit of the essay development program which I bring in to enrich your essays and to cause significant improvement in your essay answer writing skills. So with this, friends, I wind up the video here. Thank you all.